anyone's just joining in, I'm just going to get this video shared out to the world, new URL and all that stuff, and we'll get going with some Pandeiro in a few minutes. Alright, we are getting there. Very exciting, my first YouTube live. I hope we get some folks coming out for it. Always trying new stuff. So if you're in already, my apologies while I get some information shared. Hopefully this will be relatively painless. Bam. Alright, hopefully that gets out in the world and we get some folks tuning in. Let's see how we're doing over here. Alright, looks like streaming is happening. Excellent. Let's get rid of this fun little thing. Don't need that anymore. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm a little bit early, so I'm just going to jam out a little bit until we get a few folks coming in. And then we'll get started. Move this over here. Bam. Alright. Technology. Y'all can see a little better. There. Too. Bam. Nobody's here yet. That's okay. Alright. Yeah, we got a few minutes. That's fine. I don't know about anybody else out there, but I have Hamilton stuck in my brain. not what I meant to do. Get rid of you. Come back to you. Windows and things. Yeah. Alright, it's 5. So I think I'm gonna jump on in here. And this is recording, so if anybody happens to miss this, I will be recording and then editing down this whole thing. Alright, okay. Bam, okay. It's interesting, it doesn't tell me if anybody's actually in here. Huh. YouTube's weird, y'all. Hey, we got someone in there. Thanks for your patience. Still figuring out how YouTube lives work. A little different from the normal setup, but as always, let me know how the sound is and the video quality and all that, and we'll go from there. But I think I'm gonna get started. Pull this bad boy a little bit closer. All right, so today we are talking about ways to increase our dexterity on Pandeiro. A lot of times we spend a lot of time working on our tones and our slaps and moving those things around without spending a lot of time working on the dexterity of our combination of our left and right hand together. So I have a series of exercises that I'm going to start with. We're not even going to do any tones and slaps to start. And once we get through this first page that's up there, then I'm going to go into adding some kind of funky tone slap things, backbeat-esque grooves to go along with all these fun little goodies that are up there. And if you're not a reader of Western-centric music, that's totally fine. I'll play each of these down a couple times so you at least get the hang of it. So, starting off, if we have new Pandeiro players here, make sure that you're holding it properly, have a nice secure grip on your Pandeiro, and this is going to be really all about engaging our left hand or our carrying hand. And so everything we do on the right hand needs to be mirrored by the rocking of the carrying hand. So especially all of these things, this is specifically what it's for. Make sure to really engage that carrying hand. All right, so first line up here, it's going to be a series of eighth notes, and then we're going to have ba, ba, ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 da. So just counting out the beginning part, da, 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 ga, da, da, ga, da, 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 da. And we're going to play all of these alternating. Everything's going to be just back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. Then we repeat. 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4 and. Now obviously this is very slow. The idea is to eventually get this up where those eighth notes become the 16th note speed. But since we're learning it, we're just starting off nice and slow. So that top line one more time. Ready, and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And a couple little tips as you're working on this stuff. You want to make sure that you're keeping contact between the drum and your hand pretty much at all times. You don't want to get into this kind of bouncing. You're always having your hands low, almost like a conga versus a djembe, where your hands are resting more on the drum. You don't want to rest it so much that you're hurting your wrist, but keep in contact right there always. All right, moving down to line 2, same idea. We're just shifting those 16th notes over. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. And the sticking for that second half, 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. Again, 1 E and 2 E and 3 and. All right, so let's try that whole phrase all together. Ready, and 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So these, again, are very simple. We're starting off slow, and if you're already comfortable with this, take this up tempo. You can take this all the way up to and even faster. And as you go faster, of course, your movements are going to get smaller. But as we're working on this slower tempo, we're just going to do this big rocking back and forth to really reinforce those techniques. Now let's do the top 2 lines together. We're going to cycle bar 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're still working in these little bursts, like bursts of 3. Bagadas, okay? Ready, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and a 2, and a 3. Second line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, my little hiccup. 1, 2, 3, 4. And off. Cool. Little pointers as you go. Make sure to keep the Pandeiro nice and flat. You don't want it to start creeping up towards you. If you notice, the sound of the jingles will change up here versus here. And it's a really common mistake to start turning it towards you as you get faster. Make sure to keep it nice and even, flat, symmetrical as you turn it and play. All right, let's go down to the third line where we're going to start doing little bursts of 5 instead of 3. Is going to be that phrase there. Oh, looks like we're buffering a little bit. My apologies, but hopefully it'll get back in there. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4 and let's slow that down a little bit. 2, line 3, ready, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Make sure you're rocking all the way. And off. Cool. So we're getting these ideas of bursts. We got our little bursts of 3 up top. Now we're getting our little bursts of 5. Bagadagada. And keeping in mind that we want to get comfortable enough with these bursts so we can put them anywhere. For example, the next line down, line 4, we're doing that same burst. We're just shifting it over 2 beats, or an 8th note. And this one, it's going to start on the toe side, on the front side. All the other ones up to this point have been 1 E and a ba, and this one is going to start on the heel side and then ba ba ga da ga da. So just looking at line 4, the second measure, ba ba ga da ga da ba 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 ba. Again. Back 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 4. Now let's put the preceding measure in front of it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and ba ba ga da ga da. Try it out. And 2, 3, 4, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Again, these can go much faster, but right now we're just taking it nice and slow. All right, we go down one more line, line number 5 down there. And again, we're moving this little burst of 5 notes over one space, and it's going to start on beat 2. And it's also going to start on the heel side. So when we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Then we're going to take it to the next logical conclusion. One more step, shift it over. We're actually going to start it on the and of 2 and go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And just like 2 lines above, this one, the burst of 5 is going to start on the toe side. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. Okay, so let's start at the last line, the beginning of the last line. Ready, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, off. Cool. So that kind of covers the basis for all these little bursts, all the different places you can put them. And then it's up to us in our own creativity to decide how we want to use those. And so how I want to approach these is doing a really simple backbeat figure where we're just going boom, gat, boom, gat, overimposed on the figures that are already there. So for example, on the first line there, we're kind of working in cut time. We're going to go 1, bat, low, high. So let's actually, I'm kind of skipping ahead because I love this stuff so much. It's very exciting. These are kind of written in cut time if you're thinking of a normal backbeat groove. So they really could be 16th notes and 32nd notes. Don't worry about all that. Basically, just tone, slap is your bass. Slap. And if you're not too familiar with this backside slap, it's kind of a more advanced technique. Normally we do slaps this way, but if you're heel toe rocking and you land in a spot that's on the heel, you need to do what we call a backside slap instead of a front side slap. So tone, back slap, and you're just using the heel. I use just this part of my hand here to be met by the turning, twisting of the drum, and it gives you that nice strong slap. So 1, 2. So that's our bass line, like our check pattern. And then we add in the second bar. First, second. 1, 2. One more time. And the idea is it starts to kind of feel like snare drum chatter as if you were playing a drum kit. That's the idea of what we're emulating here, is that little bit of a snare drum chatter and feel to it that really fills this kind of stuff out and makes it super funky. All right, so let's take that same idea and move it down to the second line. So the main difference here when we're adding in that thumb tone, I was going to call it a thone, is instead of doing just heel, toe, heel, toe, instead of that heel in the beginning, you're going to be doing that thumb stroke. So thumb, toe, heel, toe. And just to make sure we're all in the same place, this is bar 4. Thumb, toe, heel, boom. Okay? So boom. So we're just going to keep working our way down, getting now to our bursts of 5. And the same idea, we're looking at bar 6, where instead of we're going to put a thumb tone at the beginning of that grouping of 16. Thumb, toe, heel, toe. 3, 4. And obviously very slow right now, that's okay. So in context of the whole line, we go doom, cha, do go do do cha, chu. Tone, slap. Make sure you're still rotating the Pandeiro. One more time. And off. All right, so now we move the next line down. Ba baga daga da cha. So just looking at bar 8 now, the second bar of the fourth line, we're gonna have that tone, the thumb tone on beat 1, followed by boom baga daga da, and that leads us to the end of 2. Ba baga daga da, and then you'd have that slap right on beat 3. Just like that. So now let's put the first bar in first, and then we'll just rotate or repeat that fourth line for a little bit. 1, 2, ready, and. And to me, this one in particular sounds a lot like that snare drum chatter. It's very classic. And off. Cool. Yeah, that one to me, that's like the first thing you learn on drum set. It's that same exact feel. You're just emulating it on this wonderful little drum that is practically a drum set. All right, so let's go down to line 5 now, where we're gonna have, just looking at the second bar of it, ba, baga, daga, da. And that one is a little tricky, going from the 16th notes right into a slap, daga, daga, ba. Use that rotation to give that accent, rather than working extra hard with your hand to get that accent, like rim shot idea. Use the Pandeiro itself to get a little extra swing for that slap, to have a little emphasis to it. So just that second bar. You see how I kind of dip the Pandeiro down just a little bit more to give that extra emphasis. Cool. So let's back up and put the check pattern before it, and play all of line number 5. Ready, and. Oops, I played the one above because I like it so much. One more time. All right, one more before we start to play with all of these goodies. These are just like ingredients in our cake. We're assembling all of our ingredients, and then we're gonna start to mess with them. So the last line, this one is a little tricky because the slap that needs to come on beat 3 for this boom, cha, is in the middle of that 5-note burst, right? So just looking at the last bar there, we're gonna have tone, baka, slap. Slap. And that actually is a front side slap there. Boom. He. Baka, slap. Tone, toe, heel, tone, tone, slap, tone, tone. One more time. Cool. So now let's put that in context with the whole bottom line with the check pattern leading into it. Dun, dun, and 1. And we go duku, duku, chaku, duku, ready, and. And again, use the rotation of the Pandeiro. to get that extra emphasis on that slap there. Rather than using your whole hand and having to do all this motion, just do an extra strong rotation of the pandeiro. Yeah, get a little dip and a lift on it. Don't overdo it. Like, there's a way to do it too much, but just a good combination of those motions in your right and left hand. Last time. Sweet. All right, just for a fun challenge, let's see if we can go top to bottom on this whole thing. No repeats. Just play it straight down with the tones and slaps, and then we'll start cutting and pasting them. All right? 1, 2, ready, and. Second line. Third. Fourth. Fifth. Last. One more for me because I messed it up. There it is. Cool. All right, so those are all the elements, all the ingredients in our recipe that we're creating. And now with all of those things, it is up to us as creative artists, if I can find my mouse pointer right there, to mix and match all of those things and make our own cool, funky grooves out of them. So I kind of made a little, this is fun. So all of these are interchangeable. We can cut and paste, switch all of these at random, and come up with our own little assembly of grooves, which to me is pretty fun. So if you're ever in a funk and don't know what to play, you can do this yourself, whether you're writing it out or making little flashcards or something. If you want to come up with something new and interesting, put all these little phrases onto flashcards, shuffle them, and throw them out and see what you come up with. So let's do that. I'm going to start, let's make one. Why not? That's a good one. So before adding in the tones and slaps, let's just start with the check pattern and getting the rotations without adding in any tones or anything like that. So reading this one down, we go da baga daga da daga daga da 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 daga daga da 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 da. Again. One more time. Ba, ba, ga. Cool. So now let's add in our tones and slaps. The beginning of the first little bar or segment is going to be hit with a tone on the thumb. The beginning of the second bar is going to start with a slap on the back side. Third bar is going to be a thumb tone. And then finally the last bar is going to be a back-sided slap. So let's do it real slow at first, and then we can get it up to some funky tempos. So, ba, ba, ga, da, ga, da, ready, and... One more time. One more time, because it's round. And because I messed it up. And, cool. So that's really slow. It's not quite getting the full effect of the backbeat, but it's a cool little groove. Let's try it up tempo a little bit. One more time. So that's starting to sound like something that you could groove to. It's a little busy, but that's the nature of using all these different things at the same time. As you get more comfortable with this, you can add in more slaps, you can add in more tones. You can really get as creative with this as you want. Again, these are just little ingredients in our cake that we're baking right now. And it's up to you if you want a little more cinnamon, or if you want a little more nutmeg, or whatever you're into in your particular cake. So I'm just kind of like randomly gonna mash some buttons and see what we come up with. So do like a spin the wheel sort of thing. Oh, that's kind of fun. Let's make slightly, yeah, that looks like fun. All right, so again, let's do the same progression. We're gonna start with just the heel toe, and then we'll add in the tones and slaps later on. So counting it first, we're gonna go ba ba ga da ga da 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 ga da da ga da 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 ga da ga da 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 ga da ga da 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 ga da da ga da 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 da, and we try. One more time. Make sure it's in the hands. Cool. I like that one. That's kind of fun. It's kind of got this little frevo thing to it. Now we're going to add in the tones and slaps. So we're going to put in the beginning of the first bar, it's going to be the tone. Second bar, it's going to start with a slap. Third bar is going to start with a tone. And then the last bar, ba-ga-da-ga-da-da, starting with the slap. And hopefully it'll flow pretty nice. So let's do it again, nice and slow to begin, and then we'll speed it up. Ba-ba-ga-da-ga-da, ready, and... Cool. All right, let's take it up tempo a little bit. Awesome. What's up? My pleasure. Thanks for joining. Cool. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's nice to have some folks in the stream. All right, so let's speed this up a little bit so we start to get funky with it. Cool, that had a nice little jam to it. Cool. All right, let's do a couple more of these. I'm gonna kind of make my own here. And reminder too, you don't necessarily need to even just do these little 2-beat bursts. You can do individual beats. You can do 8th note combinations, whatever you want to do. It's up to you as the artist. Let's try this one out. This looks like a fun little combo. Bugga-da, bugga-da, da-da, dugga-dugga, dugga-dugga, da-da, 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 excuse me. Dugga-da, dugga-da, da-da, dugga-dugga, dugga-dugga, da-da, da-da, da-da. One more time. So with this one, you just have to be careful going from the second block to the third, that you're continuing that stream of 16th notes with no break. Da, da, digga, 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 da, da. It's a nice little parallel phrase to it. So let's get in the tones and slaps here. We're going to go bugga, tone first for the first block. Tone, da, 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 da. Second block is going to start with the slap. Slap, toe, baka, daka. One more time, that one. Slap, toe, baka, daka. Third block is going to start with the thumb tone. Sorry, I added in a slap. There's no slap there. Just like that, the third block, and then the fourth block starts with the slap. All right, so let's put them all together nice and slow. Ba-ga-da, ready, and... One more time. Slap, tone, slap, and on. So this is an easy one to start adding in some extra tones and slaps and experimenting with kind of creating your own grooves here. So before we speed it up, let's see if we can add, let's see, what's a good place to add? That's a good place to do it. So in the third block, the last eighth note there, let's add a tone there. And that's going to be a finger tone. And if you're not too familiar with finger tones, it's okay. It's basically this idea of bringing your hand back almost like a striking cobra. And then you bounce like a bouncy ball. That's your trajectory there. And you're trying to get the same kind of a tone that you would with your thumb. Like that. And at the same time, you're going to be bringing the front of the Pandeiro towards you in that part of the rotation. So just looking at the second half here, we're going to go start with the thumb tone, like that. Tone, tone, slap. And that sets you up for that slap really nicely. If we have the tone here with the front coming towards you, and then have that back slap with the palm of your hand on the next block there. So. Second line again. Boom, pat. All right, so now let's play this whole phrase. Speed it up a little bit and add in that extra tone. And I might sprinkle in a few others just to give you some idea of what's possible in these kind of grooves. So, too creative. Sorry, I started to get too fancy and I messed up the groove. So back to the basic, and so that one's pretty fun. And as you go, you can add in little extra slaps. If you want to get fancy, you can add in some finger rolls. You can do all kinds of interesting stuff with this. So let's throw one more up here. Okay, let's do my random one again. Not looking, not looking, not looking. Ooh, nasty. Okay, cool. This one will be interesting. So the second and the fourth blocks there are the same. So at least we have a little bit of repetition in there. And then the first and the third are different. So counting it out, we go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3 and a 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and there it is. All right, so let's play it without the tones and the slaps. Let's just get the skeleton figure of it, and then we'll add in all the other goodies. So ba ba ga da da ga ready and. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more time. Cool. Yeah, this would be a fun one. I like this. So again, we're gonna start with the thumb tone. I'm gonna copyright that, the thumb tone, and just be saying that. Save myself some tongue twisting there. So we got thumb, toe, heel, for the first block. One more time. And then the second block is gonna start with that back slap. And then the third block, start with that thumb tone. One more time. Just like that. And then, just like the one we already did, the last block's gonna start with that slap. Just like that. Now we put them all together and see what this whole thing sounds like. Ready, and... One more time. Cool. Yeah, that one's growing on me. I wasn't sure about it at first, but that's pretty funky. So let's take it up tempo. I like it. That one's funky. Cool. I love it. That's awesome. I'm going to actually probably use that one, screenshot that, and save that for later. So again, you can add in tones in different places. You can add in slaps in different places. You can really make these your own. They're just, again, ingredients in your cake. However you want to bake it is up to you. Other things you can do are bending the pitch. You can actually get some pretty cool... The beautiful thing about this instrument, you can get definitely 2 different pitches, sometimes even more than that, if your skin has that kind of dexterity to it. You can also, one of the fun things I wanted to throw at you is this idea of the heel slide, little roll. I think a lot of us know about this. That's what it is. But the back heel drag, what you're gonna do is you're just hitting with the heel of your palm right here, and you're gonna, like, just like you're doing a slap here, but further back on the palm. And when you hit, it already wants to bounce a little bit, right? You kind of hear that little thing to it, and you're just gonna take that bounce and slide it down the drum. And you should be able to get 2 to 3 to 4 good bounces out of it. So the idea is that anywhere that you have a heel, like for example in these grooves, you're doing a backbeat heel slap on 2 and 4, turn that into a heel drag and you automatically have this little double 16th note, 32nd note feel to what you're doing. So if we go back to our basic 8th note groove and do that heel drag, it adds a little extra beat to that. And if you do it at faster tempos, that little buzz actually takes on its own rhythm. Then you start throwing in and the possibilities start to become endless because it's having the effect of doing a, but without having to waste all that extra energy with your hand while you're doing it. Yeah, so there's so many things you can do, but the main point of all this is just to give you tools to come up with your own funky versions of this stuff and really think out of the box of this instrument. Because so often, like Pandeiro, all right, samba, cool. And don't get me wrong, samba's amazing and I love it, but the possibilities of this little drum that has a bass tone, a slap tone, and plus all of the filler jingle stuff is essentially a drum set. So it's up to our own imagination to figure out what we're capable of doing on this fun little thing. Yeah, so I think that covers just about everything I wanted to cover today. I want to, feel free if you're in the chat and watching, if you have any questions or anything specific you want me to reference, pop in there. I'd be happy to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to jam out here on some of these ideas and just kind of play around a little bit so you can get an idea of what can be done with this. And as always, feel free to send me a message if you have any questions, if you're interested in private lessons. If you enjoyed today, the virtual tip jar information is up there on the video, like all of the artists and everybody in the world right now just trying to get by. And if you can't give right now, no worries at all. I completely understand. Even a like and a share of the video goes a long way to supporting artists and things like that. So thank you for tuning in. And if you're interested in a PDF of that first thing that was up here, this bad boy, or any of these, all of these clips I have, and I would be happy to share in PDF form if you want to study these for your own purposes. So I'll leave that one up there and jam out here for a little bit. Thanks again for joining, and I hope you all have a lovely week. All right, what are we going to start with? Samba can get funky. There. was too much fun. So thanks again. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll check you all out on the next class. Beijos e obrigada, galera.